Welcome to a podcast capturing the antics of two geeks who talk about video game culture and influence, both old and new, all through chaotic banter and tangential tangents that make no sense. My name's Mask, added bottom. Don't you call me one. This is my pal Red.
I'm on the cover of a magazine!
And together we make the Reddmasq Poddcast.
And this is episode 7.
Anyway, yeah, that's me going on a rant. I have a thing to show you. This is why, we noticed that the Smash Remix YouTube channel went down just a little while ago. And
I linked this to you earlier.
Reason. Well, I didn't see it because I'm fucking blind.
Sure are.
Amazing. Smash Remix has not been taken down by Nintendo. It's just been a victim of YouTube's copyright claims. So before anyone jumps to conclusions, I'm sure the internet will, just take a moment to just check on the feeds. And I'm glad they put it on Twitter and not just in their own personal Discord of like, we don't know what's happening, we're checking on this now. Like, please put your updates on your other feeds too. It is important.
Shoutouts
and thank you for doing so.
YouTube. I'm guessing YouTube is like, oh, it's harmful and dangerous policy because it supports piracy or something stupid like that.
Or someone flagged it. It's all speculation at this point. Nothing is really confirmed, but it is not a project that is going down anytime soon.
Many people have downloaded it.
Interest of many Smash Remix fans everywhere. And if you're not aware, Smash Remix is a mod for the original Smash 64 that adds a bunch of characters, a bunch of stages, and a lot of really interesting songs. Compositions that are just like put back together from like other classic video games that may or may not be Nintendo. It is kind of a hodgepodge and a fun one at that, like Smash of yesteryear was.
Last night we were going through the Hangout every Friday, and I was going through the whole song list trying to find interesting ones, and it was like I missed the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 one, Clock Tower.
Yeah, the Clock Tower jazz that you got going on there. It's good stuff.
This is what I get for not playing fighting games. I don't know
they had stuff from like Final Fantasy in there. They had Castlevania music. They had Blast Corps, of all things, Blast Corps.
Blast Corps menu theme that you can actually set up to play on the menu.
All of these are presented in glorious N64 sound chip quality. So the remixers that had to make these actually had to work with the hardware itself to make it work, because limitations and whatnot.
They have some really good remixers on that project. Mm-hmm. They're very good songs.
That's also the DK94. God, the tower theme, so good.
The Game Boy, it's in the Game Boy medley. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah. There's some hidden ones. You gotta look for those. Like, the Mario Land theme is also hidden in the Game Boy medley.
At the very start. What are you talking about?
Look, you had to play the song. You wouldn't figure it out from just looking at it.
Yeah, I know. You play the song. It's not hidden. It's just in the song. Hidden implies
it's hidden
they're trying
to discover.
Fucker.
Come on.
I'll hide your body after we're done with this.
Great. Look forward to that. Or I could just fight you in Smash Remix, and we could see how that turns out.
As awesome as Smash Remix is, it's still Smash 64, and I can barely play it.
I mean, if you're used to, like, that sort of gameplay, like, it is fine. It started, like, as a sort of competitive mod, because they have a lot of characters that are, like, from their, like, regional differences. Like, Kirby's down air, like, it's harder to DI out of in, like, the Japanese version, I believe. And Spike's harder.
Yeah, you got your competitive rebalances. You can like, I want to play as Japanese Ness, please.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do some of the funnier stuff, which is like there are alternate characters on some characters. If you choose Kirby, his alternate character is the Mad Piano from Mario 64.
Most of the time it makes sense. Like, they have Super Sonic in there, they have Giga Bowser in there, they have
Metal Mario,
Luigi. They backported some of the Brawl characters. They've got Wario, they've got Wolf, they've got a whole lot of crazy stuff going on here. They got Goemon.
Yeah, they got Goemon, and his alt character is a Bisamaru, so...
Yes, they just announced that about a few days ago.
Yeah. Shame you can't look at the trailer no more.
Well, not at the moment. Hopefully they get this resolved quickly, but knowing the speed of YouTube, probably not.
The speed of YouTube. We have the speed of light, and on the opposite end, the speed of YouTube.
You know, it's down there with the speed of government. So slow that you can't even see it.
Fucking God. Wow, this has gotten hilariously political, hasn't it?
All I had to do was say 4 words.
God bless this mess.
Yeah, I mean, the mode also adds in like a lot of old characters, like the beta Dragon King character was kind of reimagined for this. Many characters that were added in Project M actually never made it to Project M, thus the project had to split off into a few directions. Project Plus, that is PMEX Remix, which is the current, like, way too many characters, way too much stuff going on, Brawl Plus thing going on there. Has 140 characters, a lot of nonsense going on, but hey, let's just go ahead and backport stuff to the N64 because we have a whole engine that can do that now. Despite how
Yeah.
complicated and messy N64 emulation is, it's still possible and technically feasible, and people work hard on these mods, and it's impressive.
You're saying this PM plus EX is the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 of Smash mods.
Currently, more or less, for what it is worth, there's also another mod for Smash Ultimate called Huge Draw Remix, which doesn't really add any more characters, but rebalances the game to be more competitively, like, oriented, but takes inspiration from PM in the fact that it adds moves. It adds, like, the Pogo Tail to Ridley, for example, which is both style and substance because it actually, like, juggles pretty well. Those sorts of additions are cool, but, like, if you just want to see crazy characters, crazy soundtracks, crazy nonsense, PMEX is probably the way to go right now.
Indeed.
And for an N64 version of all that, I guess what you could call our Super Smash Land of this era, because when that was invented, that was like its own little thing, and just like, oh yeah, internet flash games are really popular. Who remembers Newgrounds?
Shoutouts to Smash Flash 2.
That too, yeah, that is another one. Really good one.
You can ignore Smash Flash 1. But like you can play it just to see what it's like, but it's very buggy. It's got a lot of hilarious character selections. Like you
You
can
have
look at it.
Lloyd and Black Mage, and I believe Sora was in that one as well. Or was
Yeah,
that
they put
two?
Smash Flash. I think it was Smash Flash 2. I don't
Yeah.
remember much about Smash. The only thing I remember are the insane picks where it's like, oh yeah, we got Mr. Incredible.
What?
Mr. Incredible is in
When?
Smash
I
Flash
missed
1.
this. What?
Mr. Incredible is in Smash Flash 1. There was a screenshot of this on Twitter at one point talking about like insane picks for Smash Brothers because like they have because Smash Flash is the one that has Goku and
Why is
Naruto and
this a
they're
thing?
because it was Smash Flash 1. Did you miss the
God, this is so of its era.
there's also some Sonic OCs,
What?
Matt, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you can have that, sure, but like Mr. Incredible of all characters, I mean, that just epitomizes 2004.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Smash.
Yeah.
Look at the. I think I found the character list here. So our starter characters are Mario, Link, Zelda, Sheik, Samus, Kirby, Meta Knight, Fox, Pikachu, Captain Falcon, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Mega Man X, and Blade, the fan character, are your starter characters.
Wow.
We got unlock, and so if you this is for Smash Flash 1, so feel free to like pull it up with me so you can look at the sprites because there are some very clear edits of Mega Man 8. Mario is a Mega Man 8 sprite edit. So is Fox.
Oh yeah, Fox is definitely a Mega Man sprite edit. Like they just took that and just did a thing. Mario,
Mega
yeah.
Man, Mega Man X
Naruto,
is
kind of. I can squint and see it.
okay. So our unlockable characters here are Luigi, Young Link, Jigglypuff, Mewtwo, Mr. Game and Watch, always and forever, Shadow, Supersonic, which is like Supersonic is your SNK boss effectively. He's fucking is busted. Got Zero for Mega Man, Lloyd, Cloud, Chrono, Inuyasha,
What?
Naruto, Mr. Incredible,
There
and
he
then
is.
Blue the other OC.
There's also
Mr.
Blade, apparently.
Yes, Blade is the starter OSC character, and you got Blue the unlockable
Incredible.
OC character, which is great. I whatever makes it work.
Whatever, they
But
had
what
Cloud
I'm
in this one. They also had Chrono.
yeah, they did. Did you not hear me list off the characters?
I'm just saying, yes, I heard you. It's just right there in front of my face now.
I remember two things about this game. First is that there is a hilarious bug where if you hit a character in the exact right timing and moment, even with a jab, it's an insta kill. You just glitch off into the blast zone. The game doesn't
Okay.
know how to handle it. And I
So just
think,
jab setups are probably a thing in this game, where people just like
yeah.
set you up to like trip and then you jab and then hope you get the glitch.
And the thing I remember is that there is a stage on Flash 1 where the game glitches out and slowly encloses the stage on the players. Imagine the blast zones are to the left and right, and it's just a black like fade in. Imagine those slowly creeping in for some reason.
I didn't they have that in like one of the Master Hand and Crazy Hand attacks in Ultimate, maybe even in 4. They did like the picture frame and
That's
then zoom in, and then there's like
well,
fire
yeah,
on the edge of the screen to kind of like
that's
tell you that.
that is called super. That is the sudden death mode.
That
You
too.
enter sudden death. But yeah, I think that's one of the more recent Master Hand Crazy Hand attacks. So they do like the picture frame with their hands, and it like
Yeah,
encloses the blast zone on you.
it's pretty
Um,
nutty.
but that is also this. But like this is the result of a bug, which is also generally it doesn't happen very fast. The only reason I know about it is because I would set up the AI to play on stages for a while because I loved watching the CPU play.
Right.
And after enough time passes, they just can't fight anymore because there's no more stage to fight on. It's all black. Like if you come back in time before like it completely encloses the stage, you'll see it's like slowly encroaching on the stage, and the players have less room to move.
Oh,
And
okay.
eventually they're just running back and forth trying to find a waypoint.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. At that kind of moment
Uh,
is what I'm kind of getting out of this.
Maybe just it's really funny to go back to Smash to look at Smash Flash 1 or remember it and be like, yeah, I played that. It was fun.
Yeah.
Would I go back now? Not to play it seriously, but it is very fun to remember and think about.
I mean, same thing can kind of apply to Super Smash Land, the demake sort of thing, which I mentioned before that. I mean, it was made by Dan Fornes before he ended up, like, going absolutely awesome and doing work for both Killer Instinct and making Riles of Aether. Like,
Oh,
Vaporeon as a character was, like, one of the fan characters in that game and
yeah, I
became
remember.
Orcane. In terms of just like all the mods out there and the whole way that like Smash has evolved over the years, this is just kind of where we are right now. We've got like Smash Remix, we've got mods in Brawl that are just like character crazy. We've got competitive mods that are barely playable because hardly anyone has like a modded Switch to actually do this. Oh, and we have like games that are like brawlers that are arena based, but like evolving. Like Rivals is now going to get its sequel, Rivals 2, this year, later on. And yeah, this is just kind of how things have panned out. Remember Icons? Does anyone remember Icons? Nobody remembers Icons.
That sounds familiar.
It's like a competitive game, and just they took all the melee tech and made it a game. And it didn't work out because nobody
The
remembers it.
Icons Combat Arena.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember seeing this and seeing people be like, "This isn't gonna work out as well," because you realize it's a lot of people play Smash for the characters, right?
it really is that sort of situation. Like, this is
The
why there is so many different derivatives of Smash as you
the
see the day.
biggest issue with making a Smash clone is that you don't have fuck you Nintendo characters to rely on. You don't have a whole generations of nostalgia to draw from. You have to make stuff original, and you're gonna find out that shit is way harder than it has any right to be.
Indeed. Do we want to try to pepper some speculation in for like whatever the next Smash might be here? Because like honestly, I've got no idea. I've really got like nowhere to start, nowhere to speculate. I've got nothing.
I have nothing to seriously speculate, but I will make my constant joke suggestion and hope. I want Goku in Smash.
You can keep dreaming along with literally everybody else.
I just want it to it's my one. I know it's never going to happen, but I'm going to hold on to it because I want the world to melt down as a result. Like, yes, Goku is in Smash. The world is finally ending. Release me from this hell, our own making.
But which Goku? Loaded question. I could just
Like,
hear the
man,
dread.
I wonder which Goku I want. How many Gokus are in Dragon Ball Fighters?
Yes,
There's still other Gokus they didn't put in.
exactly.
Ugh. I don't even. Just give me base Goku and he can turn into a Super Saiyan. That's all we need.
Alright, Super Saiyan 1 Goku, Dragon Ball Z. That's your entry. Alright.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have an entry here. Well, Nintendo likes to embrace indies. In terms of that, I'm really a big fan of Rivals of Aether, so, why not see some, let's say Zetaburn. In all of his incarnations. So, like, the whole, like, the football jersey version of Zetaburn, like, from Lovers of Aether and everything. Let's see the versions that they got for Rivals 2 here. Let's just have, like, a nice little game crossover like Shovel Knight did for their own game. Oh, wait! Shovel Knight was in both Smash and Rivals of Aether.
Indies nuts.
I'm not laughing at that. You have to make your own laugh track here.
You're the editor. You have the. You're not gonna edit in a laugh track. Fuck you.
You're right. So now, for your next segment here, I think we're gonna pick either Rune Factory or Kirby Clash. It's gonna be up to you.
We'll do Kirby Clash because I can gush about Rune Factory whenever the hell I want. Because you are also going to be talking about Super Kirby Clash because you're the guy I'm carrying.
Yeah, like, I got into this game because of you, technically. But I did have, like, well, I did play Robobot completely through, very thoroughly, mind you, during my heydays as a Kirby speedrunner. Because it had Meta Nightmare Returns, which is probably one of the most important modes to the Meta Nightmare trilogy of games. Which, weirdly enough, there were 3 Meta Nightmare games. The one in Nightmare in Dreamland, one in Superstar Ultra, and then Kirby.
I love that, like, he's having his own adventure alongside Kirby at the same time.
Yep. I mean, the latest one is Magalore's adventure. Like, they do these spin-off games with, like, the characters and the cast. And, like, it's always charming. They always invent something.
And thank God for Magalore's journey, where we find out that he became good with the power of microtransactions.
Gem apples, yes, I'm learning the pain of that too. In
God
Super Kirby
damn.
Clash.
Thank God.
I actually powered up my 3DS to take a look at how much progress I made in Kirby Clash Deluxe. And
Nice.
I did beat it. Like, everything has platinum
God
medals
damn.
and everything. It's great. I have, like, DX upgrades for, like, the
Did you get
platinum
DX
gear.
upgrades on everything, though?
Probably
that-
not.
Yeah,
probably got
understandable. I'm still getting all the DX upgrades. And then I have to do the Super DX upgrades. It's too...
There's... What are you saying?
I'm telling
my
you
God.
that you get to go beyond DX. You get to go to SDX. So you can upgrade everything
Why?
another time to make it even... Because you think I've been using DX equipment the entire time I've been carrying you? Fuck you, bitch. I've been using SDX
Yes.
tier 15 equipment. I've been using max to...
Look, all I'm saying is I just got to level 40 today. We've got the main storyline finished up, which is like the fight against Masked DDD with the whole crossover with Darkmind. We got through that, so there's a lot more to do, and there's like extra content.
Oh my god, the remix of Kirby in the Amazing Mirror's final boss theme. I love that theme. It's so good.
It's nice. It's so nice. Like yeah.
It's such a dope ass theme, and like you get to hear it again. Really, I just love all the remixes in that fucking game. Like, I love Return to Dreamland's boss theme, which gets its own remix, and so many others too. It's just, I get to hear it. It's like, I know that theme. I love that theme until it's like a remix of Kirby Superstar Ultra's True Arena, in which case I hate that theme. Fuck that mode. It's very fun. I've been carrying you for the most part. Like, I remember, what was your reaction to me showing up with all of my shit the first time?
Oh yeah, you have a lot of really nice stuff there. Oh hey, thanks for 20 levels.
I was like...
It literally was that. It like caps you off.
It caps you off until...
And you have to like clear
you have to clear main story missions. You have to clear the little missions that the heroic missions that are like there's like you get in the story mode play, you get 4 per level that you need to do. You have a bunch. For the online missions, you get 8 per level that you need to do. And then there's a bunch of like general, like, oh, hit this, get to this level, complete this many missions. Just general, like, basically it's your achievement system, and you need to get
Right, but it's kind of necessary unless you want to pay money for the game. It's a free-to-play game, but the thing is, there's a currency system.
Gem apples.
And this guy's already talked about it twice.
Thanks to Magalore, we have gem apples. Fucking, I don't know how to feel about that. He's a good guy now, but he got good because he brought in microtransactions.
Yeah, so you can get a lot of gem apples from just achievements and things if you're going to complete the game. You don't have to get away with like paying too
And
much
if you
for
do
it.
want to like quote unquote buy the game by maxing out the apple tree, which will give you all the gem apples you ever need, like unironically, what my suggestion is you buy all of the apples that are on sale because you have a whole set of apples that are on sale and they never go away until you've bought them. So you have like, oh, you have to buy a lot. Like the first one's like, how much is the first one again?
Like
$1.
99 cents.
So you buy the dollar sale, and so the dollar sale goes away, but the other sales are still there. If you buy all of the sale apples, you will have enough to max out the tree, and it's cheaper than buying like the amount you need. Like because there's an option in that list to just buy the apples you need to max out the tree, but it's not on sale. So if you buy all the sale apples, it gets you there for cheaper, even though it's like 6 transactions. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's your wallet will thank you if you decide to do it. That's what I did.
Right. In terms of content, like, it's the third, but it's basically the same as the other two. There's some new bosses, there's some new stuff you can do, but, like, if you have played, like, the 3DS one, which, at this point, it's a little bit aged, so now's probably a good time for a lot of people to kind of revisit it. It's like, hey, this is nostalgic and fresh again. Because it's kind of like one of those games, like, long-standing RPG series like Borderlands, you will find people that kind of just go back to that and just, like, reminisce. And that is something that I have caught myself doing a couple of times. At this point, Super Kirby Clash kind of catches the same notes. It is reminiscent of, like, a time and a game that I used to play and I used to have, and it's great and it's good fun. But if I were to play this back-to-back with, like, when it came out on Switch, it'd be like, God, no, I'm very burnt out on this.
Like this is my first experience with Kirby Clash, and I latched on. Obviously, clearly I latched on. I'm level 71 with maxed out top rarity gear. I have 700 of the 900 missions done so far.
I was so hoping there would be like another playable character in Super Kirby Clash, but unfortunately it doesn't look like that. You just have the 4 classes that you've always had, which is Sword, Hammer, Beam, and Healer Mage, which is basically Doctor but reskin.
Well, I mean, Beam. Well, it's Beam Mage. You still have Doctor, you dipshit.
It is Doctor, but it's reskin. It's not like the Dr. Mario that it was.
I mean, you still throw crystals, but like you are very. True. The Doctor is very much. You are a healer. You basically have your like the 4 classes are literally like defensive, like your offensive character, your defensive character, your black mage, and your white mage. It's literally basic bitch class system, and it's Hammer. And Hammer sucks. No,
give me a monk. I want a Kirby monk.
I want a red mage that doesn't suck dick. Every time a red mage exists, it's like, why would you choose a red mage when it's just like it's a mediocre of everything. So it's like, why would you choose? Like, just to get into game balance, every time I see a jack of all trades character, people don't understand that you can't just like make it. It has to be like they have to be decent at everything if anyone wants to use them. Because it's like
jack of all trades, master of none. This episode does not have a sponsor. We just want to bring people in to kind of take a look at the show, see what we have going on. If they like us, support us. Go to coffee.com/mask31 and check out our page, and feel free to consider donating.
Down here, most played games this year. Rune Factory 5 at 88 hours. because I am grinding my dick off in that. Do you know how many just to gush about Rune Factory 5 really quick, because I'm going to have to save this for a segment in a later episode. This shit. There's so many things to level up. I first played Rune Factory 1 when it came out, and I got it for Christmas. There was like a very set, like 8, there's like a 1-page set of skills, and they were like 1 on each row, so it was like 8. I don't even remember the exact number, but it's like you had very limited. And it's like, and they had like a max level of 99. Your max level was 99. I jump into Rune Factory 4 and 5 years later after not touching the series for that long, and I'm like, oh my god, there's like 10 pages of skills to level up, and all of their max levels are 10,000.
It's just a very involved RPG experience, yeah, compared to like something like surface level like Kirby Clash. I have a lot of friends that really like really involved RPG stuff and MMOs, and just like, good for you! I really wish I could get into like something like 14. But like, it's still intimidating. That's why Rune Factory never will be for me, but it's really cool.
The thing you need to know about Rune Factory, it's one of the things that inspired Stardew Valley. And the first game was literally... The first game literally had the subtitle of Fantasy Harvest Moon because they were originally the same company. So, good old Natsume. I never beat Rune Factory 1 because it is very much the first game in a series and it has a lot of jank weirdness to it. As I found out, you can level up your soil in various different stats. You can level up your pets and animals. Like, oh, they have their own stats. Oh, you can actually give them things that buff their stats permanently. It's just a mess. There's a whole crafting system that I still have a hard time understanding, but it's like you can like get multiple effects on equipment, or like, oh, if you upgrade your weapon with a rare can that you get from fishing random trash, it will increase your drop chances.
I'm gonna be expanding on some shit. First off, Rune Factory 1. I think I said this before. I played it the Christmas it came out. It was amazing. I was hooked line and sinkered. I could not get past the winter dungeon because that is a dungeon you can only enter during the winter season. So 1/4 of the in-game year, you're allowed to go into this cave, which is a shockingly little amount of time to get done what you need to get done in there. Because there's 2 parts to the first gate is that fucking dungeon, and then the second gate is the last dungeon, or it may be the last dungeon. It might be a different one. It's a dungeon, a late game dungeon. To get into it, you need to plant crops in every single farmable tile in the dungeons, because that was the mechanic that was used in Rune Factory 1, is that each of the dungeons counts as a specific season on the inside for you to grow crops in, right? So you could grow spring crops in a spring dungeon, a spring climate dungeon, fall crops in a fall climate dungeon, etc., etc. Don't ask how it works if they have no sunlight. It's magic. Fuck you. But the whole point of this is it's to create a rune factory for the bad guy. See, that's where the name comes from, and is also like a ploy by the main bad guy. Like he's like, hey, I need a bunch of rune energy to conquer the world. The best way I have to do this is force someone else to farm on every single tile in the dungeons to create runes for me. Because in that game, you never increase your maximum rune points. It's always stuck at 100. In later games, they let you, it like goes up into thousands as it increases, so that's nice. But that means like your main sources of going through all the dungeon without draining your ability to do anything is you plant these crops, and every 9 crops spawns a little rune dot for you to pick up and restore your RP with. Also, leveling up and skilling up reduces how much RP gets used, so kind of intermingle like that. All I know is that the main bad guy of Rune Factory 1 returns as the main bad guy of Rune Factory 4. And that twist may have been worth something to me if I ever beat Rune Factory 1. God damn it. Anyways.
Would you say that the lore in the game does not live up to like explaining like the stuff that you were doing, or like, why wasn't the tension kind of felt there?
Mostly because like you're just for the most part you're like just dealing with random stuff, and the twist comes that like it was all a part of a bigger plan by the bad guy, I think. And it's like so it's for the most part I'm just doing stuff, but also only being able to do the story dungeon in wintertime means that there's going to be a lot of downtime if you don't get it done in one winter. That's what happened. Is if
Ah,
I can't, if I could not clear that dungeon, I could not fully clear the dungeon and plant on every single plot within one winter. Therefore, I wound up having to. I got to the part where I have to wait for the next winter to roll around, and it turns out I don't have that kind of patience. There is a skill that was present in the first game that they got rid of like almost immediately. That was like the camping skill. You use your sleeping bag to sleep wherever you're at on the spot and wake up the next day. And it was a tool that you could improve, so you like restored more each time you used it, and how much you could use it without having to go back to your own bed was based on your camping skill. I
okay.
guess the idea was you were supposed to level that up so that you could stay in the winter dungeon for a couple extra days to get done whatever you needed to get done, and then when you finished, you're allowed to use your return home spell to finish it up. Problem that is to level. It's just it doesn't work. The camping skill was removed because it doesn't work. It's not a good system,
It
but
sounds like
that's
it's
enough.
also trying to be a time skip system. Like you're trying to like go forward a couple of days, but you actually have to use this item multiple times instead of like waiting ever an arbitrary
Well,
amount or like setting a thing to like skip ahead in the calendar to like the next season.
here's the thing about skipping ahead in any farming game, like Harvest Moon, Rune Factory, Stardew Valley. You want to skip time? Just head right back into your fucking bed the moment you wake up. No one's going to stop you.
Ah,
All that's gonna happen is you maybe lose like relationship with people as it decays over time. If
right.
you have any crops, you better pray to God that shit's getting watered or handled by your monsters or sprinklers or whatever, so on and so forth. All the stuff that matters you can technically skip it all. But I have an issue where that's not as easy for me because even when I'm playing the new Rune Factories and I need to like push forward time to get certain things done, if I find it really hard to do that without doing a bunch of other stuff first, which is allowing me to progress in a lot of different ways, but the one I'm trying to focus on is not being focused on.
Okay.
But I think that's enough going off about Rune Factory 1. It was a great game when I first played it. Going back, I still can't beat the Winter Dungeon. It's just not going to happen. I can't bring myself to do it at this point. I stopped playing Rune Factory. I only played the first one. I was aware that other Rune Factories were coming out. I just did not. I was still like a kid, and was
Hmm.
not fully interested in them, so I just let them go by. I get back into Rune Factory 4 with Rune Factory 4. I get back into Rune Factory the series with Rune
Which
Factory 4
did you
Special.
get back to Rune Factory 4 on 3DS or was it like Switch?
It was the Switch
Right.
special version.
Yeah, because I
So the
remember
one that's like
4 was like before the special version was on 3DS. I did
it was a
remember reading about
3DS
that.
game.
Yeah.
I got back into Rune Factory with Rune Factory 4 special on Switch. God, the culture shock I got hit by. The crafting systems are all like like overhauled to be a lot more free form and not like you're very limited in what you're allowed to make. You can make first off, you can make multiple tools because in the original Rune Factory, your tools were you had one tool, you had one of each tool, and
Right.
you could not make multiple, so you'd upgrade them instead of like make new ones. That's gone. It's now you make new ones. You have to find the recipes, or you can like guess the recipe and be like, I know exactly what this is going to need. I just need to make sure I can make it. I find out you can increase your maximum RP. I was like, oh shit, no longer limited to this weird 100 system. I find out there's no more like the dungeons no longer have fields. I was kind of disappointed by that because I liked having a consistent feel, like a consistent season to farm in for some reason. And Rune Factory 4 did kind of have that in the field, where if you like leave the town and go away from your own field, you can find seasonal fields in the wild rather than in the dungeon. That that doesn't exactly. I don't think that exactly exists in Rune Factory 4. They kind not no not oh, Rune Factory 5. Rune Factory 5 has the farm dragons which are all like named for different elements, but I think they
Ah.
all have the same season. I think I would have to double check that because it's really hard because it's like because each dragon is named after one of the 5 elements in game, which is not associated with the 4 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
as it turns out. You have because that's not 4 does not equal 5.
Were the 5 elements also in Rune Factory 1? I would imagine the jump would be like for jumping from Super Mario Brothers 2 to something like Super Mario Brothers Wonder in terms of just like amount of features and things added in the time
And
between.
technically there are more elements. It's just that the typically a lot of the elements you figure out are from the spells and some other stuff. Because the thing that you need to know about any plot with Rune Factory is Earthmates and dragons are both very, very big deals. And you always play as an Earthmate. So by default, a lot of shit is going to be happening with you.
That's like the human species, right?
It's not the human it's like the superhuman species.
Okay.
They have a lot of abilities that only they have, and they're very rare. And typically, every time, and you always play as one. You're always the special, as it turns out.
You are the chosen one.
Yes. Okay. So, continuing on with my jump to Rune Factory 4 from Rune Factory 1, not only was I amazed to see something as simple as maximum rune point increasing, I also was amazed to find just how many skills there were now. Because back in Rune Factory 1, it was like you had skills for each of the main things you would be doing, and then that was it. It all fit on one DS screen, and you didn't have to scroll at all. So you had one skill for each thing. So it was like, oh, you had your fishing skill, your farming skill, your combat skill, you had your
Okay.
crafting skills, all that shit, and then you had your camping skill, which was eventually removed because fuck camping. But you come into like the newer Rune Factories, and it's just a whole fucking scrollable list with skills that you would never even imagine. And most of those skills are effectively just the stuff you can ignore for the most part. They're just there to like help you with stuff that you increase over time just by doing shit. Where it's like you have like magic skills, which are just like for each element. You can ignore those because those will go up over time. If you want to like use a specific magic spell that to deal damage, you might want to look into that, but it's something that is very specific for that. It'll go up over time just by virtue of doing stuff. Like if you heal people, you will gain the love skill, which is love magic. Or that's effectively your white magic. It's how you deal with being a healer. But there's like but there's also like taking care of yourself skills. There is an eating skill, there's a walking skill, there's a sleeping skill, there's a skill for when you take hot baths to regain your stamina and stuff, all that shit. Then you have like skills for each weapon type. So you have like because the weapon types are short sword, long sword, dual sword, axe and hammer are put together, spear, and staff. And fists. You have your like fists for like grabbing and punching.
Fisticuffs.
Yes, good old fisticuffs. Except you're going to be equipping gloves to protect your wrists and also deal more damage because it's like, hey, why would you attack with your raw hands when you could put spiked gloves on or something like that?
Right. Weapons.
Yes, weapons. So seeing all these new features, it was a goddamn clusterfuck because I was not expecting it all, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane. I love this. I'm already back in the grind. I'm already feeling it.
So instead of getting intimidated by the features, you're just like, let me into this. I'm jumping in. I'm just gonna see what all this does. Hit me with all of it.
Get me in there. I'm seeing all these skills. I'll deal with that shit later, and it helps because so many of the skills are stuff you don't even need to pay attention to. That's like it's just a dopamine hit when you realize that. It's like, oh, I leveled up my walking speed on the way to the dungeon. Woo! Like a very small increase, but you get to hear the sound. You get to know that you leveled up, and it's not something you need to worry about because it's like, oh, how do I level this up? You just walk around a bunch. Is it important? Not really. It doesn't really buff that much, but it buffs stuff, and you might as well do it.
But it's there, so do it.
It's there, so it'll just go up over time. Fuck you.
Do you want to like
Rune
talk about the
Factory.
jump from 4 to 5, or whatever you want to do?
Well, the big difference between Rune Factory 4 and Rune Factory 5 is it is now a third-person 3D game in it, and with all the shortcomings and positives that come with that, it is a fine game. Something I can complain about from Rune Factory 5, though, they introduced the instant kill status effect as early as the 4th fucking dungeon in Rune Factory 5. Like that
Sounds
shit.
dangerous.
Yeah, it's annoying is what it is, but there's ways you can easily get past it. My way that I did it was that I usually in Rune Factory you can befriend or raise the boss monsters, but typically you need very specific items to befriend them, and even then it might not work.
Right.
With Usually they're very hard to obtain things. With Rune Factory 5, the very first boss, and boss monsters are immune to all status effects, so including insta-kill, so that's very useful. The very first boss, the nine-tailed fox, it's oh for God's sake, its item that you can easily grab and befriend it with is the fucking item it drops. It's nine-tailed fox bell. You can farm those by killing it every day because every boss respawns every day. And then once you get enough, you can like start save abusing until you can befriend it.
Huh.
Just give it the bells until it eventually becomes your friend, and then you can ride it. If you ride it, you get access to the fact that it is immune to instant kill, and it's also an absurdly powerful boss monster that you can level up and make stronger. Like that fucking fox is what has carried me through the entire game of Rune Factory 5. Even though I'm playing on easy, the difference between the difficulties is more or less how much grinding do you need to do before you're able to really do this stuff with ease. It's just like, yeah.
The difficulty is actually, do you have this nine-tailed fox, or do you not have this nine-tailed fox? Because if you don't, you're giving yourself a
There are
lot of
other
artificial difficulty, potentially.
There's a lot of ways to break the game. I have chosen the raise a boss monster route. Because
Gotcha.
you can technically make yourself immune to insta kill, but getting those items might be a bit of a pain in the ass. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I still need to beat the final dungeon of Rune Factory 5 because I'm taking my time and enjoying myself.
And that's what good games should kind of do with the player. They should just kind of let them go at their own pace. Yeah.
You know what game
Alright.
doesn't let you go? You know what game doesn't let you go at your own pace?
I was gonna say the meme answer of I forgot the fucking meme because we're not sponsored by League of Angels or whatever.
You mean Raid
Shadow
Legends?
Legends. Yeah.
Okay, so the actual answer is because I am still salty about this game, Super Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Really?
They make that game hard by forcing you along.
I've played quite a bit of that. In terms of the story content, yeah, it is forced, but like the way I end up playing Super Mystery Dungeon, essentially I have a Purity Forest sort of like setup where I just take creatures and just go through the 99 floor dungeon and play it like a Sheeran, but that isn't the actual game, technically.
That's the problem, is that you play Mystery Dungeon, I play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
You play Mystery Dungeon like it's Mystery Dungeon, and so it's perfectly
Customizable
acceptable
creatures
for you.
and a bunch of other stuff you have to look up. Like you are just going through like a whole guide and designing a campaign for yourself, like it's D&D, and it's kind of its own therapeutic sort of like feeling.
But that's the difference between you and me. You enjoy Mystery Dungeon. I enjoy Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. So having Super Pokemon Mystery Dungeon be more of a Mystery Dungeon game than it used to be was a fucking jarring experience, and I did not enjoy it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I would like to slow down. Can I like slow the fuck down and enjoy the world I'm in? No, we got to get to the next dungeon. We can't let you grind and get more powerful. We need you to hurry up. And it was like, by the time I finished, I was like, this sucked. I did not enjoy this.
You're just getting like trudged through the story, and like there's great cutscenes and things that are happening around you, but you don't have enough time to enjoy it because like The whole
Yeah.
slog of the game is just like,
I wasn't given time to digest what happened. You just forced me along. Got to keep moving because they have to keep it hard. And it was just like, you guys made it harder at the cost of the rest of the game to me.
I thought it was kind of
No.
nice, like the story, they follow along like the same beats as like the Explorers games and stuff. They have the whole Tree of Life thing going on with Xerneas. The whole cutscene with that is still memorable to this day, with you and your partner leaping onto the tree. It's fantastic.
Final boss. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty. There were some pretty rad cutscenes.
They were.
The final boss being a retread of the previous final boss, which was the Gates to Infinity final boss, was a thing.
Can
That
we
was a
not
thing.
talk about Gates to Infinity? That game is weird. And I'm
That
saying
game is
this
very
as like
weird.
a Sheeran fan. I'm saying this is like a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon
hated it
player.
'cause
It's just weird. It's poorly
People hated
translated
it.
too.
People hated it because it was too easy, and I can see that. I kind of liked it in the same way I liked the modern Rune Factories, in that they introduced a bunch of new systems you could fuck around with. Like, oh, I can level up my moves now. That seems hilarious and fun. And they brought that over to Super Mystery Dungeon, but nerfed it to hell, where it was like,
Right.
but it was like there was a lot of things that stayed from Super Mystery Dungeon that just didn't feel as satisfying, and also I couldn't take advantage of them because I was getting dragged along by my dick. I wanted to slow
Right.
down, and the game was forcing me to not.
I quite liked how they handled like the Mega Bracelet system and how you could actually like use the gems to either power yourself up temporarily for that dungeon, or you
Yeah.
could like slot them and get special effects. Like that
Yeah.
is something that you won't find, because when you actually leave that dungeon, you won't get to keep any of the power-ups that you gave yourself, like with
Yeah.
that bracelet. So
And that,
having it
and that's
in just a one dungeon area makes it great. Having it to do that every single time makes it repetitive.
also means that, like, in the story dungeons, you're barely going to be able to take advantage of it because the
Right.
dungeons don't go on that long.
Hmm.
That is a very mystery dungeon thing that they put in. That was like the thing I hated, was like trying to like just like think like, what about it I didn't like. I didn't enjoy how fast it was going, and trying to find talk about it online was just like, get good. It's like, fucker.
That's not the point. Yeah, like the
That's not the
discourse of it
problem.
is that there's a unbalanced game like beneath the game itself.
Like, I want to slow down and enjoy the game, but you have opted to not do that so that I don't have time to grind and be too powerful. So, as a result, I don't like your game. You made it too you forced me along, and I don't enjoy it.
I totally understand. Thank you for listening to this episode. We are hosted on mask31.dev/the-Reddmasq-podcast. You can also find us on Pocket Casts and wherever great podcasts are found.